Yes.
And
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hereby call the November 2025 OWASP Global Board meeting to order. The current time is 9:05 a.m. Eastern. We will start with roll call. As I call your name, please acknowledge your presence. Steve,
here,
Harold,
Here.
Sam,
Here.
Ashwini,
Ashwini not here.
she's not here? Okay.
No.
Make sure to mark her here if she comes a little later. Avi,
Here.
Diego,
Here.
and Ricardo is here. Thank you, and I just want to put a warm welcome out there for our guests and observers. Let's do the conflict of interest. So, as the board is composed of individuals from many organizations, including organizations that may compete, OWASP and its board shall abide by all applicable antitrust and competition laws. To avoid any perceived or actual conflict of interest, and to comply with the antitrust laws, only the published agenda will be discussed, voted upon, or amended. If there are any board members that have a conflict of interest with respect to a topic on today's agenda, they are expected to disclose the conflict and recuse themselves from discussion and voting on that conflict. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare at this time?
Ashwini is joining the call.
Okay. Sam, would you be sure to mark her as present, please?
Yep, will do.
Mhm.
Ashwini, we missed the roll call, but I'll just add it to you.
Hey, all of you. Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Hi, Ashwini. Do you have any conflicts to disclose at this time?
No conflicts to disclose as such. I've made a change in my working organization, so I
Mhm.
have to upload the conflict of interest document. I've informed Dawn, and I need to sign that. I was away traveling. I need to do that today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So with no conflicts to be declared, we'll move on to any changes to the agenda.
Um,
So
I do have two, which I've put in here.
okay.
Essentially, I need these two motions here. The motion to amend the bylaws and the motion to approve the antitrust policy. We forgot to put them in as part of um, uh, the board prep call, but they are part of
Okay.
the overall package.
Okay.
Avi's got his hand up. But we obviously need to vote on those. But yeah, Avi.
Mhm.
The discussion on the MITRE KPAC is not yet official from their side, so that needs to be postponed until next one. Or might have a special one in between.
Okay,
Oh,
the tentative point. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Avi.
So we need to vote on these changes to the schedule.
Yes. I only heard one from Andrew. Did you say you had two, or was it just that
there are two. There are
there
two
are two?
votes.
Okay.
The second one is the discussion of the 26 budget draft.
Mhm.
It hasn't really progressed.
Oh.
I'm happy to discuss it and talk about it, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, basically, in cases we do have visitors, it might be worthwhile postponing that until December when I can give you a much better and actually filled in budget to actually
Mhm.
discuss. I don't want to waste the board's time, but effectively, the two motions that do need to be voted upon, you just need to have two-thirds of the board to say yes to the changes to add these two motions to the official agenda.
Sure, sure. So is there someone going to take up, and is there a second?
I will
Um,
Is there
For which one? The two
for
motions?
the changes, right?
We actually
Change the
do need,
schedule.
yeah, to
Oh,
the
to the change.
schedule,
Yeah.
but also we
Yeah,
need
sure.
a sponsor and second for all three motions.
Andrew, I'm not sure we finished discussion on this though yet. Didn't we?
No, we
We
didn't.
have
Right
not.
now, we're just
We-
talking the schedule now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but during the board prep call, we didn't get a sponsor or a second for the motions in front of us. So as part of these changes, so Avi for
I'll
a
sponsor both.
sponsor.
Yep.
Yep. Who wants to second them?
I'll second.
Okay.
Steve,
Great.
just second.
Great. So let's take a vote for the changes. Obviously, you just read that 2/3 of the board must vote yay. Let me start with the list I have. Let me just scroll back up. All right. So we are voting on the changes to today's agenda. In the order of the list I have in front of me, Steve,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Sam.
I have a problem with this, guys. So we have not, I'm not sure we're voting on the policy because it's not finished, right? We have not done the policy review.
The policy review has completed.
Do we have the acknowledgement? I have not seen this, Andrew.
So the
So-
feedback summary is here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I
Is that
Point of order.
PRH? Because I
This-
just want to make sure
this-
that we're doing it
we are
correctly.
voting on
So-
schedule.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it-
but
it's
this can be the discussion
merged.
at the time on the agenda, right? So we're just voting to discuss it at the time. We can discuss it then, right?
No, we're approving a new policy, right? We
No,
got-
this
no,
is
we're not.
Right now,
add-
we're just
add motions.
approving the changes to today's agenda.
We're
That's
proving
what-
that we will discuss this.
I just said it before I asked for people to vote.
Well, it's just because the screen says on the motion to approve the policy, not the changes to the
Oh.
agenda.
No, I just said it before I asked everyone to vote. Okay, so to be clear, we're voting just on the changes to
Just
the
to
agenda.
the agenda. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes
So,
sense.
I believe we're at you, Sam. So I got an affirmative from Steve, affirmative from Harold, and now what is your vote for the
Affirmative from me, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Ashwini.
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't quite hear it.
I said yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Avi
Yes.
and Diego,
Yes.
and that's a yes from myself. Okay, so given that all the board voted, those changes will be in the today's agenda.
Thank you.
I need to raise a point of order on that agenda item. One of the motions there has a link that is broken. The antitrust policy.
Draft antitrust
I've
policy.
been trying to find alternate versions of that and haven't. So
Okay. Give me.
I would like that to be on the agenda. We need to have that link.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well-
Just antitrust.
Great.
Mhm.
So let's now move to the approval of the meeting minutes from the October 2025 board meeting. These were circulated in advance. So back to my list. So we're voting just on the approval of minutes from the previous month that actually happened on the beginning of the month. And I'll start with the same order I had from the previous votes. Steve,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Ashwini.
I would like to abstain because I was not there.
Okay. Avi,
Yes.
Diego,
Yes.
and that's a yes for myself, Ricardo. So, with the minutes approved, we will move on actually to the committee reports.
Um,
I'm sorry.
Don't think we've got any visitors from them. I do
Oh,
have news.
okay.
So I invited Isa, Stacy, um, Arinish, and
Hmm.
they invited Petra to discuss the formation of the marketing working group.
Okay.
We are going to present something more concrete in the December board meeting to you.
Okay.
And in terms of the infrastructure side of it, at the moment, if you go to the OWASP website and go to committees, which is where it'll probably exist under the old website, I'm going to work with Christian to put in the working groups that we've approved and give them a project space under the old way of doing things. We just can't wait around for the new website to come alive anymore. We'll just get the working groups going and starting to produce.
Hmm.
I think one of the first things the working group for the marketing working group needs to address is do they become a committee or do they actually just simply work on the 25th anniversary marketing? There's a heap of stuff going on along there that needs to be discussed. So yeah.
Okay. So then we should table this to the next board meeting, is what I'm hearing.
Hmm.
Actually, gonna make a note of that. Do we need a vote?
It's been tabled, so I mean, I've done a little bit of discussion, so I'm
Mhm.
happy for it to be left as is, and then just simply make sure it's reintroduced
Me
for next
too.
month. Yep.
All right. So I guess we will then move on to the management reports.
Hmm.
Andrew, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Our 990 was submitted on time, and the IRS has accepted the submission, so that's actually good news. The audit is complete. It is signed off by me. Harold, I asked you to sign DocHub. I assume that you've had a chance to have a look over the report, the management report, the letter.
I will after I look at it. I have not had a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, do carefully review it. It is stating, for legal reasons. We've got a clean audit, which is a good thing. So that is fantastic news for us. Um, but they are still preparing the actual final uh, audit for the board. That'll be with you guys in the internal global board list as soon as I get my hands on it. We're not very far away from receiving that. I had an interview with them last week on payroll controls, so I'm expecting to have some feedback about payroll. In particular, most likely something to do with second approvers and making sure that we've got a documented process. Even though our process hasn't changed since we implemented Asperity in 2014, it's not written down anywhere. I showed the process by actually going through and submitting payroll right in front of them. So I think they're quite happy with the controls that are in place. I think it just needs to be documented and that I need a second approver. Now, I've discussed with Harold in our finance call. That should probably be the treasurer, and we'll pick that up at the beginning of the next year when we figure out who the treasurer is for next year. The Director of Corporate Relations is being advertised on LinkedIn. Close on December 5. So if you know anybody, please ask them to apply. I have LinkedIn Premium, and I've used there's a shielding set of questions that you need to answer before you get through. So hopefully, instead of having 300 or 400 or even thousands of applicants, we hopefully will have a qualified pool to start looking through. I'm going to work with Harold on doing those interviews in December. So good. Other good news is OS Operations Europe is now registered. Yay! Aram and Maxim are working on finalizing our banking, our accounting, um, and there needs to be some sort of registration of our bylaws. So they're trying to get that done at the moment. And then once that's done, we'll be able to hold a general meeting and put in the controls the board has actually asked for. So Avi, I haven't forgotten. It is going to happen. We'll put those controls in, and I think we'll be okay. I don't think Dawn's on call today because most of the staff are away this week because of Thanksgiving. Onboarding documents have been sent, so there is a commitment agreement that has been sent out to all of the new board members and the returning ones. I have actually renewed our board source training. Sam and Steve, you are more than welcome to redo the online training on board source if you wish to do. The content hasn't changed since you took it. It's really unclear in our procedures whether or not folks who are continuing on from a previous term have to redo that training. If you feel like you need to refresh your knowledge, please go ahead and redo that training. Avi.
I'd like to be opinionated and say, first of all, I think the policies are ambiguous at best, but they do imply that at every new term they should do this. And having done this at a second term, and yeah, I know everything, I'll remember everything, but honestly, the refresher, even though there was nothing new there, I think was very positive. So while the policy is ambiguous and can't be mandated, I would strongly recommend doing it anyway, even for somebody with an iron trap of memory like Steve.
Yep.
I would like to add something. When I attempted to do it again, I couldn't. It said it's already completed. So just note that it may not be able, but you can give it a try. But like when I try to do it again, I'm just letting you know, no success. So.
Is this something that we do want to clarify in policy in a future date?
I think honestly, it's probably worthwhile looking at our overall onboarding process and making sure that as we go through and implement the directors, I'm assuming that there might be an affirmative vote today on the new policies. We need to then align our procedures with that policy. And I think that then comes back to if board source doesn't let you take it a second time, then there is some documents that you could review, some PDF documents, which contains the same information but in a written form. Maybe we ask people to revisit that.
Okay.
Okay. It's like you're on like your annual IT training. Everybody knows you shouldn't click things and whatnot, but at the end of the day, people do. It's just, is it truly effective? I don't know. Yes, we do annual security training. Okay. Which reminds me, I do need to refresh the staff handbook and then put the staff as part of our end of year celebrations, put the staff through some Insperity-led training. I will organize that and get that done. So thank you, Grant, for reminding me that I need to get that done. We do have a segment on the 25th anniversary, and so I'll keep that update for then. For the rest of the staff who are on the call, Star, I think you're on the call, and I think I saw Hayden. Is there anything, Stacey? Is there anything? In fact, Stacey, this is your first board call. Do you want to just simply say hi to the board and maybe just give them a bit of an insight what you're working on?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. It's great to finally be here. I think this is week 3, so I'm just kind of trying to get my head around everything and figure out where we need to focus moving forward. But I do have, I think there's some slides in here on it, but I do have 3 projects that I'm working on immediately. The first one is Giving Tuesday, which is next Tuesday, the 2nd. And I will be popping an email out to you guys straight after this meeting. So we've had a series of social posts and an email campaign that is going out. And I would love for you guys to help us just spread the word. So simply by sharing some social media posts, if you fancy creating your own social media posts, that would be fantastic. But we are looking to highlight the ways that people can get involved in OWASP. ultimately, we'd love for everybody to donate, but we know that that's not it's not feasible for everybody. So instead of just highlighting donations as our point of reference, we're highlighting how you can get involved in chapters, projects, how you can become a member, and also how you can donate and be a corporate sponsor. So I'll pop some information over after this call, and it would be great if you guys could share those social posts for us. There's one going out today and then some more next week. And if you'd like to give me any ideas on that as well, please reply to that email and I'll be more than happy to take those on board. The second project is a marketing strategy. So as I mentioned, I'm just trying to get my head around where we want to focus and pull together a strategy for the first half of next year. At the moment, it's looking likely that we're going to be focused very highly on a social media strategy and how we can increase our reach, and also make sure that we're focused not just on the wonderful events that we do, but also on memberships, on donations, and on projects, and how we can help chapters to elevate as well. And it's also going to be taking a look at our corporate supporter packages for the first half of the year and how we can reach out to our corporate supporters and corporate members and increase those areas. So a marketing strategy will be put in place and presented to you on the next board meeting on December 16th. And then the final thing that I'm working on is a 2025 annual report. So we're looking at creating a report that can go out at the end of January once we have our financial statistics, that highlights all the great work that we've done over the past year, and also looks a little bit ahead and gives some sneak peeks to the 25th anniversary highlights as well. The idea behind this is that we'll create a PDF that can be shared with the community, but it will also help Heather and I when we're having conversations with corporate supporters, as a bit of collateral that we can use to move those kind of more sales-led conversations forward. And it's a good piece of marketing collateral to kick off the new year. There's a lot of data that I'm gathering and also aiming to get quotes from the community and from yourselves. So I know Ricardo is already helping me out with that. But please be aware that I might be reaching out to you guys to get some more input. So if I do, it'd be greatly appreciated for your support. And other than that, I'm just trying to figure out what else we can do to make things better for 2026. So appreciate your patience there. Thank you.
I think the entire board would agree with me. We are really glad you're here, Stacey.
Absolutely. Here, here.
Yeah. So Harold, Stacey and I have discussed some budgeting items for marketing for next year. I'll discuss that with you offline. Okay. I would like to, unfortunately, Charity CFO could not be here today. I think one of the things we might want to consider is moving our 2026 meetings back to midday. So Marisa is in the Pacific time zone. And I think 6 a.m. is roughly where it's at the moment, 6:30 a.m. at the moment for her. So maybe
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Might be worthwhile even considering moving December's meeting back to midday. Marisa, would it be easier for you if we could move the December board meeting back to midday?
No,
Eastern.
that's not necessary. I think that I'll just make do. No need to change it on my account for December, but I appreciate changing it in the new year.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. So with that said, there is a video that Charity have provided to us. I must admit I have not had a chance to watch this yet, so let's watch it all together.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I need to make sure that my audio is going to be recorded. Audio settings. Does anyone remember where they record my computer's audio?
Good question.
Give me one tick.
When
I'm
you
sorry.
share your screen, Andrew, I think you have to tick the box to share with audio.
Share computer sound. Here we go. Mono. Okay, here we go.
Hello, everyone. This is Chris Barbeau with the Charity CFO. I'm sorry I'm unable to join you today. I am out of the office on PTO this week. We've had a lot of activity since we last met. First of all, our United States 990 was filed successfully prior to the November 15th due date by Anders, our audit firm. We've also received the audited draft financials. Hopefully both of those documents have been shared with you. If not, let me know and I'd be happy to distribute. We did receive an unmodified audit opinion. There were no surprises here. The audit went very well, and we're just waiting on it to be finalized, hopefully within the next week. It's already been thoroughly reviewed by Andrew and your team, as well as by myself and our Director of Quality Assurance. So just putting a wrap on another successful audit year. Jumping into our October financial report, we're looking at the month of October 2025, and we'll begin with the balance sheet or the statement of financial position. Cash increased during the month of October by approximately $58,000. Accounts receivable were relatively stable with little net change, and our total assets during the month increased by $65,000. We're ending the month with a total net assets of $3,087,000. On the liability side, our liabilities did fall during the month, largely due to a decrease in accounts payable. We ended accounts payable at $125,000, a decrease from the month of September, and this is just largely due to the timing of invoices and payments. We don't have.
So with AR, I am going to be writing off some of the more uncollectible items in December to clear things up for the new financial year. I'll work with Harold to make sure that he's familiar with that.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Past due or aged payables. The credit card balance went up slightly during the month of October, and again, that's just timing of purchases and payments. Total liabilities were $266,000 at the end of the month, down from $333 at the end of September. And our total net assets were $2,821,000, an increase of $132,000 from the end of September. Jumping to the statement of activity, when we look at October versus September, as well as year to date. Our total income during the month of October is just under $486,000. Net income year to date of $4,086,000. On the expenses side, expenses did go up slightly during October versus September by approximately $40,000. This was largely due to the timing of conference-related expenses. We did have a net income of $132,000 for the month of October and a year-to-date net income of $380,000. Jumping now into the budget versus actual summary. Here again, we're looking at our year-to-date actuals versus our year-to-date budget. And in the far right-hand column, you can see our full year budget. Total income is $4,086,000 year to date. We're exceeding our budget year to date by approximately $80,000. You can see conference income is running above anticipation, and we've already met our total conference income for the year as far as the goal. We are seeing a decrease in corporate supporters. That is where we're significantly under budget year to date by approximately $242,000. Again, when we look at our total income, we are at $4,086,000 and approximately $80,000 where we anticipated being this time of year. Jumping to expenses, community outreach, we are still running under budget. Conference expenses, we are running over budget as of the end of October by $91,000. I think that's largely due to timing, and food and beverage expenses are the driver of that overage at $96,000. However, when I look at our detailed budget for the year, we have a significant amount of expenses budgeted for the month of November and some of those were paid in advance. So expect this number to look much better by next month's report. We're on track with general operating expenses and relatively on track with local chapter expenses. Payroll and payroll related expenses are over budget year to date by approximately $73,000. Our professional fees are also running over, and that's largely due to $16,000 we incurred recently for the setup of the Belgium entity. And total project related expenses, again, are running over, and that's something we've seen consistently for the last several months. Currently exceeding our budgeted expectations by just under $95,000. Total income year to date is $380,000. We had budgeted for an income year to date at $509,000. So we are falling short of that at this point.
So one of the biggest issues here is that we're trying to get the renewals out for corporate support. We know that we're behind on that. Stacey has rather very generously offered to help Heather get those out, and hopefully we can get some of those across the line before the end of the year and bring it back into more normal territory. Yes, we are behind. I've already noted this to the auditors. They asked for are there any particularly large issues that need to be included in the final statement for 2025, and I've made sure that that this is recorded.
Andrew, before you move on with the rest of the video, I know it's a little bit left, but I would just like to take the temperature from the rest of the directors and even the new ones. Marissa, I know you're online as well. Feel free to chime in. One, I don't want to shock you guys. I wear glasses. I really can't see this. And two, I noticed that she picks out key metrics to tell us. So could she possibly just pick out those key metrics and present those? And then these sheets become supplementary links in the agenda or links to the board so we can peruse it even more, because I think that will be more fruitful because she scrolls a lot. I don't even know which line she was even looking at. Like I said, I can't really see it. It's horribly small. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I think that would be better if we just get those highlights rather than her just scrolling to the sheet. I have no context of where those numbers even coming from.
So for the board, if you're interested in metrics, I asked them a few months ago to include some more graphical dashboarding. And so for the last few, there is this sheet called Dashboard, which actually includes a sparkline for how things are going. And it tells you how we're going at a glance. We're going 2% above budget. Our expenses are 5.8% above budget. And our net income is down from last year by 57.6%. Now, obviously, this is the amount. We knew that we were having an investment year and we were going to spend about $300,000 this year. So the reality is that we're not doing so badly, but it's also not great. So we're going to continue to work on that. Our current ratio is a common metric that is used in nonprofits to determine the current assets, the current liabilities. We have very little liabilities, so that's actually a good number. And this is our cash on hand. And so this is a number of months. Even if we receive no more money for the rest of the year, we could operate until basically April or May next year without having to do anything. So having at least 3 months of cash on hand. This doesn't include our investments. If we unroll our investments and start putting that back into our operation, our cash on hand, we would actually be up in the 12 plus months, and it's better for us to actually have those as investments and revenue versus budget. So there is some things to look at the bottom of this document. Also, Ricardo, you asked me one particular question overnight, which was about workers' compensation. I'm going to have to get that answer on notice to you. I can't find anything called workers' compensation and Insperity or deal. And realistically, the amount of that, the number that is in this report, which is this amount here. This is the year-to-date figure. The reality is I don't know where this comes in. I think this is miscategorized. I honestly, I'm not sure what this is.
Okay, thank you for getting some clarity on that one.
Well, I'm glad you picked it up because it's one figure amongst millions, and
I
I
flip through
honestly,
these things when I can bump up the text.
yeah. And so I think this is miscategorized. I think this is another value that I'm not familiar with, and they've called it workers' comp. Um, I I I will find out for you, and I will let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. We've got about a minute left of this. Do you want to continue with this video, or do you want to just sort of leave it as is?
I think you ran through the last part, so I'm fine if you to move on to your next item.
Okay.
But no, that's it.
So in the agenda, there is actually the PDF that she's looking at, and the cash flow forecast and the aged AR summary. And so again, 91 days and over is what you need to be looking at. It's actually at $86,000, which considering that that is actually during a month when we're about to go to AppSec DC, is actually really good. But there are items on here that I deem somewhat uncollectible, so I'll be working with Dawn and Harold to write off
Sorry
some of this.
to interrupt you, Andrew, but I think Sam has his hand up. It may be what you're
Yeah.
currently looking at.
No, actually, my question is on what was covered in the video, and that was the high bill for food and beverages, Andrew, which is dragging us down. And again, I want to raise this. Why aren't we offloading the food and beverages at conferences to our sponsors? Because I had many sponsors contacting me for Barcelona and DC, disappointed that they couldn't get a slot, and it would be good to have provide the opportunity for them to sponsor lunches, sponsor meals and drinks in return for the banners displayed. And this way we will.
Does exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was if this exists, probably not enough because why are we paying 632,000 food and beverage bill from our own budget?
Because we would pay the budget anyway. The sponsors wouldn't be paying the budget; they pay us.
Yeah, it's a line item. Like when we sign up for fit and like the way that these room rentals work is you're almost getting the rooms for nothing. What you are paying for is the food and beverage and the floor space, and there's a certain number of things. Honestly, I've talked with Stacey about this. Stacey used to do a lot of conferences for her previous employer. We have some opportunities here to monetize more things than we currently do. And so I would expect it in Vienna and in San Francisco next year, you'll see some of those opportunities come up, Sam. I do expect us to offer things such as, like, for example, breakfast or drinks packages and things like that. Anyway, I don't want to derail the conversation, but I'm happy for that conversation for us to continue that with Lauren and yourself and Stacey sometime over an email chain. That might be a better way of going forward. The other one that we're trying to do is AV. At the end of the day, that's another cost. Lauren has done her very best to minimize our total costs. You might have noticed over the last few years, for example, at the breakfast time, the offerings become rather slim. And during coffee breaks, the reality is we're paying 40, 50% more for food and beverage than we were a few years ago. And we've not raised our ticket prices. And so we've had to make some shavings throughout. And honestly, having some greater sponsor participation to help us overcome those rises would be a good thing. Okay. Any other questions on the budget? Sorry, the
You mean
video.
yeah.
Okay. what I'd like to do at this point is return the floor to you,
Okay.
Ricardo, but effectively the next item is one that talks about the budget anyway.
Okay. No worries whatsoever, Andrew. Thank you very much for running us through the management reports there. All right, so we will now move on to the next item. Like Andrew said, it's um sorry, what was the next item?
Budget.
Oh, the budget, yeah. So it's a discussion on the 2026 budget draft. A bit of background. Charity CFO and Andrew, well, I guess Andrew in this case will lead a discussion on the draft budget for next year, including key initiatives, projected revenues, and expenses. Andrew, sir, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm just getting the budget template up.
Mm-hmm.
This does actually have some staffing component to it. So there is, I'm probably not going to spend some time hovering over that. Okay, this is our budget template, and what needs to happen is that there is a budget line, and anything that is in green needs to be filled in by our staff. Generally, what we do is we do same as last year plus 5% for most things. But because we're doing so many more things for the 25th anniversary, I really need Lauren, who has been unwell this month after she got FluCon. Heather and Lauren both came down with FluCon. But she needs to finish out doing the trainer payments and finish off finalizing the bills for AppSec DC. So I understand the reasons why she hasn't had a chance to get through and fill in all of these columns, but they do need to actually go through each of these events down the bottom and fill in how much we budget for each of these events. And that does take time. And the biggest single person who needs to work on that is Lauren. And so I'm really, I need that to be completed before we actually can come up with a workable budget. Because at the moment, if we go down to the budget, it's not a realistic figure.
Right.
And that doesn't help anybody. So, what we're going to do first is get Lauren to go through each of these things, and then for us to start fine tuning our 25th anniversary budget, making sure that we're not overspending. I need to put a few line items in that don't exist at the moment, such as a marketing budget. And so I want to give Stacey some freedom to be able to promote various things throughout the year. She's come up with some good ideas, such as advertising on platforms that we haven't traditionally advertised on to extend our reach. And they seem to be relatively cost effective, and I want to give her some money to be able to do that. So yeah. But this is what it is at the moment and where it stands right now. It needs a lot of figures to be entered. And so I'll get that done and we'll start to get a draft thing. My main goal is to actually have something that can be approved at the January board meeting. Okay.
Are you going to send us a link to this, Andrew, or are you going to
I need to actually make sure that, that is a template that was sent to me by Leah.
Okay.
They actually have a live document that we edit so that they can work on it at the same time. I'm very happy to share that link through the internal global board so you can see where it's at. But at the end of the day, basically, it's in progress is probably the best way of putting it at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, that's that.
Any questions from the board? All right. I guess with no questions from the board, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is a motion. Let me use my window. Is a motion to approve the Board of Directors policy. For background, Avi has led a proposed change to the current election policy, creating a new Board of Directors policy for consideration. This new policy incorporates community feedback gathered from review period and updates. So at this time, Evie, do you want to lead the discussion,
Yep.
or shall we? Okay, great. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if you could open up the PR. So
Mhm.
we've all reviewed the policy. It's, I think, in a really good state. As you've mentioned, there's been some community feedback. We've already discussed this last meeting quite a bit. There was a PR, I think, from this morning or last night, depending on your time zone,
Mhm.
that incorporated some of the feedback. If you haven't had a chance to review that, I think you should take a couple of minutes to look at that. There's not huge changes. There are a few, and I've made some specific comments on that. So if we could take just a couple of minutes to go through these changes, good, bad, slight, nuanced, fine-tuned, and maybe within 5 minutes we could actually get to a vote on this policy. Is that agreeable?
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Avi, my question is because I feel the feedback process is not yet complete because it is still coming or unaddressed.
The fact that there's still more feedback doesn't mean we didn't finish the process. According to the policy, we
Yeah.
completed everything within the certain time frame as defined. There can be additional feedback afterwards. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
And for the record, the one you linked, that's not from now. That was a while ago, and I think that one was incorporated, and there's not actually much actionable there. The one the one that was just linked.
Yeah, I just saw there was an update on it this morning because someone added a comment.
Yeah, no, that wasn't an update.
Okay.
That was spam.
Yeah,
Get up now.
the feedback, okay, so that probably does need to be incorporated, because it was submitted on October 12th. I'm not sure.
I think I saw that on the list, yes.
Constructive. So this was actually included in the first one. Yes.
Yep.
And I said that this is actually more like when I reviewed it, it's actually feedback on the community review process policy, not this policy or set of policies. I think honestly, the community review process policy absolutely needs to be reviewed. And I think his feedback is extremely valid. I do think that might be a really good improvement to the way that we do this, but it wasn't the policy that was in place when we did this. So I've said no. Harold has not given us an answer, but realistically, because it is actually out of scope, I think this one remains out of scope. So we did consider it. It was actually in the feedback.
Counterpoint, Andrew, while it is not defined in policy, simply using GitHub PRs solves for number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And also enables number 3.
Yeah.
I don't know that it needs to be in policy that we use a GitHub PR.
For what it's worth, Sam, we did actually get more feedback for this set of policies than we've had in previous months and for previous policies. So I'm actually quite happy with the level of feedback that we've received from the community.
Controversial for the win.
It was a very controversial policy, I know. So there are a lot of people who felt that there is something to say about
I'd like
this.
to point out, Sam, a lot of the controversial stuff was, why are you making this? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are you allowing the thing? And like right now, everything is allowed. Right now, the policy is basically pay $50 for a membership for 12 months, and you can be on the board. Very little, if anything, beyond that. The majority of the changes to the policy is tightening that up and adding additional requirements. And then when we specifically exclude a restriction, then there's noise about that. So controversy or not is yeah.
So let me just go back to the final feedback because this is what Avi wants to just discuss.
Yeah.
Does the board want to discuss this now, or do you, Avi and me, to go away and bring this back to the December board meeting or do an e-vote in a few days' time? Or is it something that we could knock out now, because there's only a few pieces of feedback that Avi's provided, and then come to a vote on the actual policies?
I would like to suggest, if there's agreement, to take a few minutes to review this now, because there's not that many changes, Andrew.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and also there's one other piece that we discussed in DC, which I don't think I'm seeing in the draft. That was something raised by Steve, and that was the level of English, because I remember we discussed
Oh, that's no,
That is
it's
there.
in there.
That is
That's
there.
in there.
And it's
That's there.
excellent.
I'm not seeing the B2 thing in the draft.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's in line 48, 49 to 48. So can I suggest just sharing the PR like to the screen, and we could just walk through that real quick?
Because I'm looking
Just
at
so
the
that when
draft
we
text rather than the PR.
see, they asked for a side by side. We have that.
Yep.
If you can go to the files changed. Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. So at a proficiency level of at least CFER B2 and preferably CFER C1 English, and I've given a link to what it is. So that one has definitely been covered off, Sam.
Okay, so this is in the pull request, but not in the draft policy text document, Andrew. That's
in the PR.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why I suggested going through the PR because when if the motion passes, this will be committed.
So what is in the PR is the source of truth that we're voting, not the draft policy. This is basically what I'm raising, because whatever is now draft policy as a Google document, that's not the final document. It's the text and the pull request.
The authoritative source is the draft policy on the website, modulo the changes in the PR.
Yeah, but as I said, the draft policy does not contain these changes, including the level of English that we just looked at and the antitrust stuff.
Yeah, and to that point, Andrew, the PR should also remove the draft notice.
That I'll have to fix up later. I also need to make it delete the elections policy.
So do you want to walk through the changes and the feedback that caused them?
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Okay, so let me go back to the conversation.
If you go into the files change, it might be the best way because you see all the changes there, not just my comments. We're going to just go through here.
Yep. So in antitrust, the first change here, I marked it as resolved, but I don't think it committed it. So board members must not engage in discussions or agreements, formal or informal, to impact or sway the competitive marketplace in favor of one or more entities. Bill came back with us and said the competitors regarding pricing, service terms, market allocation, or membership restrictions. So Avi's trying to reshape this to go to this text here. I'm happy with either, but it's up to you.
So clarification, the original policy was the red one. Based on Bill's feedback, he changed it because OWASP is not about competitors. It's about the marketplace, competitive marketplace. My comment was the collusion might also be around changing OWASP strategy or contracts. If you open the show resolved there, the gray, there.
My comment there is definition of entities. What entities are you talking about? Because obviously the companies and competitors is one thing. Yeah.
Right. So the green here is Andrew's change. That's the PR. My comment here, I think entities is pretty much any entity, and that's fine. My comment is it's not just to change the competitive marketplace because it's huge considering OWASP, but also what OWASP does internally. For example, I shouldn't be allowed to collude with Steve to allow me to take OWASP contracts for selling training. I don't know. I always pick on Steve. He has an honest face, so nobody suspects. My comment here is to add this line into that statement. To impact or sway the competitive marketplace or to influence an OS strategy or contracts in favor of one or more entities.
Yeah, I'm happy with that addition. So what I'd have to do is actually go and add this text. I take it you didn't actually provide a competing PR or update to this PR?
No, I
Okay.
didn't because it's the PR. I didn't want to meddle with your PR, so I'm making comments.
Okay, that's fine. Then the next one was some feedback to the marketplace. So during meeting conduct, this was an update from Bill. Secret verifiable ballots. We actually have with simply voting that in place. So I'm very happy to accept this change. We had quite a bit of feedback on candidates must have show a strong commitment to the mission of the foundation. And this is actually something that Dawn and I have been discussing as well. How do we even vet this? So what I did is I moved it down, making this section standalone. So candidates must be OWASP members in good standing as defined in the bylaws in section 2, which is actually part of the actual bylaws. Yep. But then I moved it down. Candidates must show commitment to OWASP mission by demonstrating, and then I left the rest of this in place. So effectively, these are the things that we're measuring.
Agreed.
And that is something that is either true or it's not true. So we can look at it. Bill said number 7, which was put in towards the end of the feedback loop that Avi and the rest of the board went through, an equivalent amount of time. Bill said not to include this, but I think honestly, this is problematic in that essentially somebody from outside who has very limited contact with us, who decides to run for the OWASP board, could potentially get a letter of support or something similar and come in and become a board member. Bill's feedback is, why would you want someone who's not really a part of the OWASP community to be on the board? And so on that basis, both Tobias and I accepted this particular thing. I would actually have to see if...
So I'd like to speak to that for a second because I was against it at first as well. This was actually Sam's suggestion. And it rarely happens that Sam convinced me so strongly that it is right. Sam, do you want to speak to that one?
Well, I could, but probably I mean I would like to hear how did you get convinced, right?
Yeah. Well, for one thing, you got me to imagine likely candidates for that.
Yeah.
Okay. When this would be a thing. And I think it's easy to come up with. I think the example that is absolutely not relevant would be Jack Daniel. I think he's like the poster person for a community person, created B-Sides, very little to actually do directly with OWASP. And if he wanted to be on the board, I think that is absolutely a person. And this might be an exception, but it is a very indicative exception because, as Star just said in the comment, right? There are great people that actually, just because they haven't specifically been in OWASP, doesn't mean they're not adjacent to OWASP-like communities. Now, I pushed back on this, like if they never met OWASP, that would be a problem. But if they have all that background and also have met OWASP, at least a bit.
They also contributed as well, yes, in the form of speaking at our events, for example, a verifiable event, right? This is what I did. So things like, for example, speaking at our conferences or meetups can be verified because we have record of this as well.
Yeah, I agree with this whole removing this. We have an exception process for a reason. So we can always use it in this rare case that this ever happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the problem, if we don't include it at all, what the feedback that I was getting, we will become too isolated because we are completely isolating ourselves and just saying we're just cooking in our own pot and not allowing anyone from outside, and kind of defeats the notion of us being an open community. We should be open to adjacent cybersecurity community who work with us.
Right, but that's not what this says. That's not
also
what this
really
says.
that's a really bad metaphor. If you're cooking your pot, you don't want anybody else getting involved.
Yeah, I mean, this is very specific to a particular type of contributor.
Would it be better if it was something along the lines of the board may allow an external contributor to nominate, and let me just put this in here, may allow an external contributor to nominate themselves even if they do not meet the requirements set out above.
Well, anybody can already nominate themselves, correct, Andrew?
Right.
Yeah, but they won't be accepted. So what this may be is that you guys end up taking a vote on whether or not this person could stand for the board. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the thing that I come back to is the idea of independent directors. It's a dream of mine one day that we might have independent directors for, say, for example, legal and, say, for example, accounting. It might be really good. They're not going to have much connection to OWASP and our projects and our community, but they will have very specific skills that we might be seeking for. If we back ourselves into a corner here, we'd have to do a policy change. So I can see this being modified, like Section 7, to allow a process to occur, and maybe get it over the line. I don't know. Avi, did you want to have a go at wordsmithing something that might say something like that?
So ignoring the independent directors, because I think that fits very nicely into what we were talking about, advisors and advisory council. But I merged part of 7 that was here, which I can agree to drop in favor of a board exception, together with what you wrote. Basically, the board may allow an external contributor if they have all that.
Okay.
Is that
I'm just
agreeable?
Yeah, that works for me because this 7 currently is for a specific type of contributor and would rule out folks like CISOs and other things that we would obviously want to welcome to our community, right? So may not necessarily have been actively involved previously.
Yeah. So let me just, I'm going to grab that text, Avi, and keep it.
This should be as a separate item, yes? Not as part of that list.
Yeah, I'm going to put it underneath H.
Oh, okay.
I would suggest not as a completely independent subclause, because we want that the part of that does not meet the requirements just of that list, not any of the other requirements. We're not saying just skip membership or code of conduct non-violation.
So are you saying put it below 7 but above E?
I'm saying below that list as a standalone paragraph, but still
Okay.
part of that subclause.
Okay. I've got that text. I can clean that up in a tick. Yep.
Great.
The next change was about E. There was a lot of feedback from Bill on this one. And originally we had this 6 months or longer specified in the staff handbook, which then means that there's a hidden policy. And so I agreed with Bill on that, that, there's this number that I have in the staff handbook, but it's not known to anybody else. I think just pick a number and stick to it. I didn't want to get rid of this. I think there is a problem where colleagues then become your superiors. That is a problem. I do think there needs to be a cooling off period, and I agree with the actual sentiment. So I actually rejected the thrust of Bill's feedback here, but it's not a never problem. It's literally along the lines of that the OWASP Foundation employees are employed for a period of 12 months after the last day as a paid Foundation employee. This provision shall also be included in the staff handbook. So it's the same in both the policy and the staff handbook, and it's publicly known. I think that is fair. And a lengthy cool-off period after the last day should still say 6 months. So what's the number? I'm happy to put whatever number you come up with.
But you want a single number without that flexibility. The idea of this 6 months plus flexibility was kind of a compromise from board feedback. But I'm not opposed to stating 12 months across the board if everybody else is in agreement with that.
I'm fine with 12.
I'm fine with 12 months as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that
Ricardo, I
what
think
you have in?
original.
Is that what you have in your contracts? I think the reason for that number, it comes from whatever is widely accepted in contracts, and the most contracts that, for example, I've seen in the United Kingdom and Europe, the cooling off period is 6 months. So if in the United States you are not allowed, your cooling off period is 12 months, you're going on 12-month gardening leave, then that's different. But the standard in the UK and Europe is 6 months.
Okay.
I've seen anywhere between 3 months and 2 years.
Yep.
I see quite a bit of
Numbers
contracts.
as well. Yeah. It all depends.
I think 12, if we're stating a single number, 12 months is the right amount of time. Ricardo, I think you were the original, had the original pushback against that.
Yes. Yes.
So if
I
you're
think
comfortable with stating 12 months, I'm okay with that.
12 months is a great period. Yeah.
Okay. Accepted as 12 months as is. So I'm going to click add single comment and resolve conversation. So we're just going to move that one as move on. And a candidate has violated the code of conduct within the 4 years preceding. And so Bill came back and suggested this text. That effectively it's 4 years, is ineligible to run for the board and may not be nominated. A candidate is violated code of conduct 3 or more times in the previous 10 years shall cause the candidate be permanently eligible for the board. Validation of the candidate's eligibility is made by exclusion list maintained by the compliance committee. We do need to change that to the compliance team. We don't have a compliance committee anymore.
Andrew, do you have a system of record of this? So does operationally, do you actually track violations of code of conduct?
The compliance team has a folder that I'm not privy to with all of the previous decisions. I'm reasonably certain, Grant, if you're still on the call, they could look it up.
I just don't want to go by hearsay and memory. Those things change over time.
It might be worth us, sorry for interrupting here, it might be worth the compliance team actually having a published list that is visible to whoever is managing eligibility for the board. So we can just give name and date of violation, and that's all we need to put in there, because that way you can do the determination based on those two things.
I would suggest, in order to avoid complications and privacy and who knows what, reverse that as poll. Here are my candidates. Are there any issues with them?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I would support that.
This is operational procedure.
Yeah, it's like a sanctions check, right? So basically, we go to a compliance team and saying, "Here's the list of candidates. Can you please validate it against your sanction list?" And
I'll be creating a sanctions list now. Thank you.
Yeah. The background check item, which is one of the letters, actually does include sanctions, background verification checks. Bill provided that as a update.
Excellent.
So he provided quite an extensive piece of feedback here. He said must pass through thorough delete. Elected candidates and appointed directors must undergo criminal and sanction list background checks at the start of their term. So that basically
Sorry, Andrew, you skipped over a few things. Can we come to this when we get there?
Yeah, where you mean this?
Yeah,
you want to talk about this?
There are a few issues here with the code of conduct clause.
Okay.
First of all, so I'll go through this. First of all, it says before the election. We can't say before the election. That's too ambiguous. It's a fuzzy time. Everywhere else in the policy, it's according to membership day, which is defined as September 30th, and that's the date that all qualifications have to pass. So I would push back and say preceding membership day, not the election. Agreed? My comment one?
That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Why do you sound shocked? Yes. Andrew, is that
Yeah, no, it's fine.
okay?
It actually gives it's easier for us to measure, and I'm always in favor of that. Grant?
Code of conduct violations during the election period don't count. That feels like not intention of this statement.
So I agree with you, Grant. We actually had a situation this year where several candidates were talking about the validity and veracity of statements made by their peers, and I think honestly that could have led to a compliance team investigation. I think honestly maybe we need to make this a little bit more expansive to include it all the way up to the time they take their seat.
Yes, I completely agree with that. The membership day is when you measure the 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So it should state within the 4 years preceding membership day or any time after.
Or any time up to and including the date of them taking seat. Because code of conduct violations as a board member are
different set of rules.
Also a problem, but a different set of rules.
Yeah.
And code of conduct violations 5 years after you finish your term, completely different situation as well.
Not like that would ever happen.
Yep.
Okay. My second comment about the violations. Unless violations are assumed to be confirmed, the language of confirming the violation, that the violation was valid, was removed. So I think that should be in unless, and I'm going to point this actually at Grant, if you read code of conduct violation as confirmed by the compliance team.
Yeah, the language that we use is the same we would in legal terms. So you're not guilty of a crime until you're found guilty of a crime, right?
And the violation is having been found guilty?
Yes.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're just accused of a violation.
Okay. So I retract my second comment. Third comment, Andrew, if you could scroll up just a tiny bit. Shall be ineligible was changed to is ineligible, which isn't proper RFC. So I'm going to push back on that just tiny change there.
That's fine. No, that's accepted. Yep.
Three or more. Okay, so 3 or more times is permanent. Sorry, 3 times in the previous 10 years is permanent. So is it 10 years or permanent?
Okay.
I think it should be permanent, not, if you violated 3 times, you're permanently ineligible and not previous 10 years.
Sorry, if we can just pick up the pace just a little bit. We are on 20 minutes over the second hour here. So
sorry, is that agreeable, that comment? And the compliance team, that list, okay, we already talked about that list.
Yep. That's fine. That just needs to be worked on. Yep. It does sound like we're going to need a chance for these edits to be put in place. I think an e-vote is probably the right solution here.
All right.
Or delay until December because I don't think it's ready. You see, we're making last minute changes, so it has not gone through the review.
All right.
Is there any feedback, Avi, that you would like to discuss with the board before we maybe you and I sit down together and manage this out?
The one last real comment that I had was about the background checks, which you started discussing, and I think there is a 90-second discussion to be had here.
Okay.
If the policy should specify what the specific checks are and how they are done, versus saying they need to be done and leaving them for the executive director to set as procedure.
Yeah. So my main concern is I actually have been looking into background checks using Deal, which is the platform that I get paid with and Stacey gets paid with. They can do it in 150 odd countries. What happens if we get a director who is not in one of those countries? And what happens if the laws in that country don't allow you to actually do criminal or financial checks? This is a problem. Being very specific about what checks are required can lead to a situation where I'm going to have to talk to the chair and say, I can't get this background check for you. What do you want to do? And that would then almost certainly go to the entire board. 150 countries is actually one of the better ones.
Very good.
Yeah, so the reality is that I'm very happy to implement this. I don't want to be like, but I want additional guidance around what happens if there's a negative outcome. That was one of my problems with the original text, is it was really just a discussion between me and the chair. Whereas I think honestly, we're talking about maybe declaring a vacancy, and we have a process in the bylaws for that. And I think that really does come down to an executive session. So I think being a bit more detailed about what happens if there's a negative outcome is a good thing.
Yes.
I agree with Avi. Maybe we don't say what exact checks are done because maybe it's not legal to do all of them.
Well,
So
I think if you just put a clause in here, as allowable by jurisdiction, I think it covers it.
okay. Um, and so what I think, Sam, is I think what you're looking for is a clean PDF that you could actually review in its entirety rather than as a PR. Is that what you're looking for?
That's right, yes. And probably not just me,
Okay.
for all the board members to have a chance to thoroughly review the document in the new proposed document, which is readable from start to finish as one document, and then vote for it, rather than all these little bits and pieces which are torn out of the context.
Well,
Yeah,
having
so
read and reviewed the whole document several times, having the changes was useful as well, but sure.
yeah. So what I'll do is I'll work with Avi. I'll set a time aside. I didn't actually get as much feedback as I would like from Harold. Would you be amiable if Harold and I and Avi sit down and finish out this document? I can get a PDF of what it looks like in its final form to the board in, say, by sometime next week, and maybe we bring it to the December board meeting and we table these motions until then.
Yes, I'm for that.
Can I
Yes.
ask for an e-vote? Because we've already been postponing this month.
Okay.
Is anybody opposed to that?
I'm not opposed to e-vote as well, but
That's fine
I
with me.
don't put pressure on anyone.
No,
Again,
I
my
think
only
some pressure
concern
needed.
is because we're changing election policy, which is quite pivotal to our community. So I think it
Yeah.
might be seen as
The
not quite transparent if we do it as an e-vote instead of voting in open during a publicly recorded public
right.
board meeting.
But it's been published openly, so I don't think
Yeah,
we're
It's
doing
these
anything
discussions
other
are
than
published.
vote
open,
on
the
it,
notes
and
are
then that will
open.
be
Yeah.
published
It's the third or fourth time,
publicly.
and it gets reported in the next one anyway. So
Yeah, so I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, I'm good either way. I think that we can take this up next month,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you want to. That way, it's no real pressure on anyone. In case
with
you
all
guys.
that said, I am in favor of moving on from the PR.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we just need a quick motion, like just simply a set of yays for tabling these three motions.
I'm sorry. Say that it needs three motions.
No, just one motion to table these three motions.
Okay.
So
Do
we're
you
doing
have
it as a
that
set.
text, or should I come up with something here?
It's directly from Roberts. It's going to be something like it's not a resolved. It's just simply
Yeah. It's a motion to table these three motions, sorry, until the December 2025 board meeting
Yeah, and
Or e-vote.
or evoke.
yeah, and I can remind that the next board meeting is going to be earlier because of Christmas. It's going to be on the 16th of December, so it's not that far away.
Nice.
It's only 3 weeks away.
All right.
okay. This doesn't require a second or a sponsor. It just requires most of you to
Vote,
agree.
right?
Mhm.
Let me just read the names I got in front of me. Steve,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Ashwini.
Yes.
Okay. Avi,
Yes.
Diego,
Yes.
And Ricardo's a yes as well.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So we'll discuss these next month. Thank you very much for this time, y'all. So let's keep it moving. The next one for this, pardon?
I was about to say I already talked about the infrastructure for working groups
Okay,
in the executive summary.
let's
So
move on to the audit stuff then. All right. Give me a sec. I got a little couple of notes on how.
I will give you co-host privileges.
All right. Well, I just got notes to say stuff. I actually provided a link to a document explaining what this is about. So the proposal is actually to establish two oversight committees. One would be a board audit and risk committee, which is a no-brainer. What I did was I took a look at similar organizations, ISACA, ISC Squared 2, and like Apache Foundation. All of these organizations have a board that members of a board filling that audit requirement. And also, I said, how can we go past just the board members and not just have it heavily weighed on the board and also engage the community as well. So what I'm proposing is a member financial transparency and oversight committee as well. So both these groups will actually strengthen our governance, hopefully reduce our risk and increase our transparencies. Basically, the board committee will have oversight of the independent audit. So they will, a couple of members, I suggest three, with the chair being the treasurer, review the annual financial statements, monitoring like all our internal controls, and just basically have oversight of all of our risk. So like I said, there will be at least three board members, and it will take away from all of the board kind of going through that same yearly thing that we do and have just a subgroup focusing on the audit perspective and managing the risk. So looking at the insurance and doing stuff like that as well. I think because others do it, we shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel. We should basically look to see how other boards, nonprofit boards are doing it and kind of do the same thing. So in my mind, that's an easy one, right? The membership financial transparency and oversight committee is going to be a bit different. It doesn't necessarily duplicate the fiduciary duties. It's advisory only. Its purpose is to support our transparency and help the board understand the community's perspective on our financial stewardship. So members often care deeply about how funds are distributed to chapters, project, events, and all our other initiatives. Yet there's no structured channel for our community to really ask questions or provide feedback on those finances unless they probably like come to this board meeting, right? So this gives chapters, leaders, project leaders, the wider membership a way to be informed and engaged without blurring governance lines. So this positions us ahead of most other organizations because they do not have something similar in terms of this type of or this level of transparency. So I'll pause there and see what you think. I think the board one is a no-brainer. We should have been doing this quite a while ago, and hopefully I can get some support for that. But the other one, which is more of a community-based and advisory committee, is something that I think allows our members to be engaged in how we conduct our financial affairs throughout the organization. So I just wanted to open it up to a bit of discussion. We'll cap it off at 5 minutes because we do have, I think, what will be a sort of a lengthy executive session after this. Anyone have comments, concerns?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
I am absolutely I think the Audit and Risk Committee is a no-brainer. I think that should be established like yesterday as
Yes.
a board committee. Our bylaws actually have this set out on how board committees, standing board committees exist. They don't exist part of the committee 2.0 policy. They're a standing committee set up by the board to be included with board members and nominated individuals to be a part of that committee. So I think that one could be set up. I don't think you need to pass any motions. You don't need to pass any policy changes or anything to get that one running. If you do have the document, could you send it to me so that we could share it in the minutes?
Oh, sure. I don't have it on me. I know I sent it to you, so I'll just dig up that link and send it to you after the meeting.
Thank
This
you.
is not my regular computer. Sorry about that. Two hands raised, Avi and then Ashwini.
Andrew just touched on the Committee 2.0 policy. I think calling it the Audit Committee will create some confusion if there's an alternate naming.
Sure.
Audit
Open to
Subcommittee
suggestions.
or alternate, well, Audit
Internal
Board,
Auditing Committee.
like not committee.
Okay. Good show. And Ashwini?
Yeah, so I think there are several considerations, right? I mean, I'm all for this audit committee, but we still need details around how many external advisors and what does their term length look like and the cadence and whistleblower policy around it. Should it be the same as what's already existing in OWASP policies, or is there some tweak that we'll have to do, especially for the audit committee? I think it's needs some sort of a charter and all of that. And if we agree on all of that, I think it'll be good to vote on that bit. But otherwise, yes, we do need something like this. I think it was really important that we had it. But yeah, there's more to do around it, is what I think. Once we have all of those aspects, I think the finer details, it'll be in a better place for us to go about it.
I don't think it needs a charter because this is not like a typical OWASP committee. This is made up of the board. Like Andrew said, we already have how it's structured within that 2.0 policy. I'm happy
Do we
to.
want to call out accidentally overstepping rules, and how are we ensuring, the
Sure.
trust? Yeah.
Like I said, we probably need to examine how others do it. It's pretty much information out there on the internet. That's how I search this. I said, what are other people doing? And I mentioned before, we shouldn't probably reinvent the wheel. So we can take a good subset of, the items that they look at, the consistency of who is on it, how long, and stuff like that. It's usually made up of just board members, and it's usually chaired by the treasurer. And we have some folks who have either financial and or accounting background on there as well, or a risk background to take a look to see, how they can contribute or provide that governance and oversight over that auditing throughout the organization. So yeah, we'll definitely put together something, but I think it's been a long time coming for this to actually be around, and I'm glad it seems like there's at least some support to move this thing forward. And maybe we handle it in the new year when we do elections. And I can, of course, put something together, and I will share that document as well. But maybe when we do elections, we do the board as well, who's going to be on that audit, whatever it's going to be, the name for it in the new year.
Okay. Yeah, completely support the audit, whatever we call it. Ricardo, do you have a rough draft of the charter for the other committee that you talked about, the financial transparency one?
I do not, but I wanted to see what the interest was from the other board members to actually potentially have that as a discussion moving forward. I think it's a great idea. We've always been looking for ways to engage the community, and one more way to engage them would be to, if anyone has any financial concerns or just an interest to see, how stuff is, they can also serve on that committee, and and gain some insight into the organization. So I can put something together and I can distribute if there's enough interest from the other board members.
Yeah, well, I was looking for it because it's a little fuzzy for me.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. If we can kind of clarify specifically
sure
what the charter is, I think it'll be less fuzzy, completely in favor of the audit one, no brainer. This one, this one feels a little bit more wishy-washy.
Okay, then I will put together a draft charter so that you can gain some more insight. Like I said, I also had a document that actually outlines my thinking, and I apologize. I left my other laptop at my folks' house, so I'm using a spare one here for the meeting, so I don't actually have that document available right now. But I will forward it on to you guys once I have it up. Or I can
What I'd suggest, Ricardo, is the actual thing. Sam's actually posted the part of the bylaws that allows you to create this. What I'd suggest is post it as a discussion item in Global Board List and maybe have a vote on it in December, or let the new board have a vote on it in January.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good.
Okay, I see it now. Yep. Okay. If there's no other questions, I would say that we move on to the next item, which I think we're tabling the one that Abby wanted to speak about, right, Abby, to next month. And then we'll now move into executive session. So let me just remind everyone that the next general board meeting will be on December 16th, 2025 at
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Eastern. So I'm the sponsor for the motion. Do we have a second?
Real quick, Ricardo, did we skip the 25th anniversary discussion?
We did, but
Yes.
the reality is, just in the interest of time to allow the executive session, this is our content calendar. The board does have access to this. We have a lot planned. The reality is that we're starting in January. There will be events throughout the year. So yay. I just want to make sure we've got time for the executive session.
Yep. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I'll provide a link to where you can find this content calendar. It's an evolving document.
Okay.
And MITRE CAPEC as well, right? So that's
that I thought was covered under changes.
Yeah, there was an adjournment for that
one. So, all right. So it is moved. Wait. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Pardon?
Yes. Seconded.
Oh, that's Harold. Okay,
Harold.
great. So it is moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Now let's move into the executive session. Can you give me just 1 minute? I'll be right back.
No worries.
Question for the executive session. We need the board. We need Andrew. We need Grant as the compliance officer.